Okay, welcome everyone. I'm going to be a little loud so you all are awake. With me here is who I call a realist. He's been working in this elder care space for a very long time. So he's going to keep us grounded to reality. Here we have our professor. We call him the thinker. 50 to 100 is the range. And this is the aspirational guy who's a banker and has a startup and wants to make a lot of money. Correct? Um, with that, let me just tell you a little bit about myself before I get into the questions, but it's not about me. It's about these three people here. So I run a startup called Wisdom Circle. We're trying to create a marketplace for retirees. We use a lot of tech, although people tell us that old people don't like tech, which is incorrect. So just I think, Professor Kaur, as you were saying, we all have all these biases. Na? Ye chalega, ye nahi chalega, but it works, right? So don't underestimate old people, right, doctor? Okay. So what you're going to now do is you're going to actually start, rather than me introducing the panelists, I'm going to have the panelists introduce themselves. Um, and I think some of you have presentations, slides. I'm going to cut you off if you go too long. Because we have to make it entertaining because these people are falling asleep. Yeah, they're all dropping off. Hana? So who's going to go first? You want to go first? Okay, you go first.
Check. Hi, am I audible, everybody? Yep. Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Anurag. I'm the co-founder of Kubo Care. Neeraj, at the risk of offending you, I'm going to take 1 minute more than what we'd agreed. I'm an accidental entrepreneur. This happened because, unfortunately, my grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's about 3 years ago. And in managing her care is when I realized how, for us at least, how broken the care ecosystem was. Right, in managing her care, in trying to find caregivers for her, in trying to look for wearables and technology for her, we realized that there was a space and need for things to be different. And after meeting my co-founder earlier last year in 2024, we decided to take on a challenge of building technology for seniors that does not require any kind of behavioral change from them. Right. So the first problem that we're going after is that of fall detection as well as vitals monitoring. We've realized that aging in home is going to be the norm as the number of seniors dramatically increase over the years, as well as families go increasingly nuclear. But all the technology that we saw that were existent currently were either wearables, which required active effort from seniors to remember to charge them, wear them, almost tell the world that they are in need of help, which really didn't resonate with seniors. In fact, only 7% seniors globally, only 7% seniors in India own a tech wearable, let alone use them continuously. So that wasn't going to be a solution. Other solutions people have tried included caregivers like attendants and nurses. And unfortunately, that is still a challenge in India to kind of get to the kind of quality and communication levels that we would like to have. And then the third thing people had tried was cameras. And the problem with cameras is that it's deeply uncomfortable for both seniors as well as their family members. And you can't use it in critical areas like bathrooms and bedrooms where most number of emergencies happen. So it was quite simple. The solution that we had to build at Kubo Care had to account for three items. One is that it had to protect the privacy of the seniors themselves. Two, it had to have no behavioral change or effort from the seniors. And three, that it had to provide peace of mind for families. So what we've built is these kinds of devices that you see over here. These are all radar-based devices that can be placed in the corner of your room or above your bedboard that's able to do several things. One, detect motion, activities, and falls. And at the same time, at shorter distances, we're able to track your heart rate and respiratory rate as well. This ensures that your home is safe, the seniors are continuously monitored, but without cameras or without wearables, making sure that it's completely passive, right? The data that we build on top of that, we are able to identify any kind of deviances that might happen, which is able to allow us to be predictive in nature. So I'll just show you a quick 30-second video of how this works. All right, so these are our devices. Again, our radar-based technology with our algorithms on top of it. What it's doing is it creates a 3D point cloud of the individual, not imaging. So when a person falls, there's immediate detection, and their family members and their next of kin are alerted right away. We track vitals contactlessly, And at the same time, we also have environmental sensors that give you a sense of what's happening in the room, right? And in case of an emergency, we plug into either the senior living communities, emergency protocols, or at homes, we have our own partnerships to get you the help you need in a timely manner.
Thank you. Can you please introduce yourself also? कौन हो तुम?
My name is Anurag, and in the past, I've worn many hats, including as a venture capitalist. And prior to that, I was a consultant. I also ran an NGO for 3 years prior to all of this.
So you're basically soul searching and you found something that you like.
I found a solution to my grandmother's challenges.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. It's happy to be able to talk about things I do. With a little bit of journey, I trained as an engineer first. There was always an inclination to do biomedical stuff. Worked with technology, healthcare technology for a number of years in my PhD in University of Twente, then in Oxford. Worked with GE for some time. Worked in Netherlands and also Singapore. But there was always an inclination: how will this technology get applied? And that's where
PhD भी की है. You're a PhD.
PhD from University of Twente in Netherlands. Yeah, it wasn't looking at bubbles and sound and their interaction and medical space. Looking at how kidney stones get treated.
So just so that everybody knows, we have two doctors in the room and they're sitting right in the middle.
Right.
We are not doctors.
Right. So did doctorate and then lots of things, but wanted to see how the technology gets applied. So what I set up at the institute is a lab which is primarily around developing medical devices. Right. You can take it from purely technology point of view that yes, this is a technology we need. Let's build it, and then you'll see whether it's used or not. And that's an open question, how successful it will be. But over that journey, I also realized that it's important that this is for humans. It is to be used by people, and therefore a design-centric approach in some sense of understanding what the requirements for individuals are also brought in, right? That brings in not only the technological KPIs, but also being able to develop a device which people would want to use, right? There is often an emotional connect of a device which you're wearing on the body for long periods of time. How does it change your lifestyle if you bring in that device? That also you need to bring in. And a lot of this can get elucidated through scientific experiments, not in the lab, but talking to people and understanding what those aspirations are and how does that device or a solution or technology solution provides a solution to that status of things. Right?
So you basically, your lab here does what?
You do medical device development. Right. So
medical device development. So you basically take what these scientists come up with
right.
to what people want
and combine the two.
Combine the two.
Always start from a problem at hand. So we talk to doctors, we talk to end users, patients, what challenges are they facing. So giving an example of that. So for example, insulin delivery is a challenge for many people who have to take that many times a day. You have to take multiple injections a day. There are solutions out there in the market which cost you almost as much as a car to carry it along the body. And that's not something which Indian population will be able to afford. So we have to design completely new ways of doing things. So that's the kind of space we go into.
We'll see some of the examples of that also.
So I'm
going to now cut you off and I'm going to...
So that's the journey we do. And then we kind of take them to users and then hopefully bring them to market. So a couple of startups also have come out of the work which we've been doing in the lab and
so basically what we've seen so far is an entrepreneur who's building something. We've seen someone who's looking at entrepreneurs to figure out whether they're doing something. And now we're going to talk to somebody who knows the real world.
Thank you, Neeraj. And at the outset, I'll thank Professor Deepak and his team to give this opportunity. I've been practicing medicine, teaching it, and practicing medicine for the older people for last 5 decades. And I'm happy that we are talking about longevity and aging in this institution. When you look at patients...
Should we put your slides?
Yeah, please do that.
Correct.
Okay. So, as a practicing physician, all these years, I realized that the outcome of my patient depends upon the quality of care they receive. Whatever we do for the patient, the outcome would depend upon the caregivers. And when we looked as a practicing physician on the caregiver, we didn't realize their plight. Suddenly, one day, I was turned into a caregiver. And while navigating all the nuances of that particular situation for all these years, more than 8, 10 years, I realized what is the plight of persons who are entrusted this particular job without any background about the healthcare knowledge. And I felt that the knowledge required for caregiving, which is very simple, it's not a big science, not a big knowledge.
Dr. Arvind, before you go there, आप थोड़ा अपने बारे में बताओ.
I'm coming to that, sir.
The context of why you are doing this talks about the 50 years of experience you have.
Yeah. So as I mentioned that it was with the patients I realized that caregiving is very important. And when I personally experienced it, I realized it very badly. And then I felt that there is something which has to be done to provide caregivers a knowledge. And with that, we started a Caregivers Asha Society in 2019. We are trying to support caregivers by knowledge and having advocacy for their cause so as to prepare a community where elder care is there, also taking care of the caregivers. When we talk of older people, we should also include caregivers situation in that. And in that case, we are trying to do caregiver support and training. And in that, I'm happy to tell that we have gotten, besides training program, a Care Asha app we have built on. Secondly, we are doing community initiatives. So we are going to schools. And having a future caregiver initiative to talk to students, making them aware of the benefits of caregiving. In addition to this, we have developed a Care Skill Institute where anybody can walk in and take the knowledge they need for caregiving for their loved ones. We have been having international collaborations also, and lucky to be part of Summit of the Future. Now, when it comes to the Care Asha app, which I'd like to just dwell upon for a while, this app is a companion for all the caregivers. It talks about what anybody would need to know about caregiving. In all the topics which are included in this, every aspect of caregiving, including emergency management, may it be for dementia care, may it be for fall prevention, which was being dwelt upon in the previous panels. So these aspects are mentioned in a clearly understandable language. Luckily, it is right now in English and Hindi. We have got Bangla, Telugu, and Tamil translations available, would be there within a month or so. In addition to this, there is a provision for recording their health records, which they can share with their caretakers or their doctors seamlessly. They can export it as a PDF. We have got videos there. There is a provision for connecting with the doctors. They can ask questions if they need to, and if they want to connect with their community. So because, as was mentioned, that community networking for the caregivers is a very important thing, because that gives them a feeling that they are not alone. There is somebody who is going to be there with them. So with this, we are here, and I think I'll look forward for discussing about this point.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, actually, can all of you who are over 50 please raise your hand? See, we are not in the US, so we can ask such questions. Otherwise, we can't ask such questions. Anyone else who knows someone who's 50 or over? Can you please raise your hand? Okay, there we go. And who is 25 and younger? I like it. I think there's some people who think they're younger, but there's Alzheimer's and dementia care. So, the point is that all of us have someone or the other today that needs some sort of support because we are getting old. So here's the context of this, the next 30 minutes that we have. What we have seen in these last 2.5 days is science. We've heard a lot about science. We've sort of heard a lot about what is possible. We've heard a lot about all the measurements we need to do. But then there is this thing about reality, right? The reality is, what do we need today? So in this panel, this whole thing around longevity versus aging, right? Longevity is what you young 25-year-olds have to think about. Aging is what we over the age of 50 are already thinking about, right? That's the way to think about it. Now, So essentially science versus reality. So today we are going to talk about reality. And how many of you know how to read financial statements? You know these fancy balance sheet income statements? Please raise your hand. So quite a few. So I'm going to compare science and reality to balance sheet and income statement. Right? Science is balance sheet. You know, we are preparing, we are getting ready, we are measuring, we are preparing for the future. Cash flow and income statement is what has to be done today. So this panel is about what's going to be done today, right? Because while we measure, while we do that, we all need help today. So the way we are basically talking about it is how do you build the plane while flying it? So the science is building the plane, the 50-year-olds are flying it, right? The folks within the plane are all 50-year-olds. So now that's the context. So here's what we're going to do. I've not asked you all, but I'm going to have a volunteer, the youngest one on our panel, to come stand up here. And I'm going to ask you guys some questions. So we've heard of all these devices that everybody has to wear to measure stuff, right? So let's just think of him as this person who we are measuring things. So what all do you think he needs? So he needs what can we put on him to measure him? Loud, you can just speak. Don't worry about. An energy, and where in the body would that go? Okay, so energy sensor near the heart. Okay, you got that. What else? Anybody has one of those fancy ultra-human rings? I have one. Okay, ring. Okay, there's a ring. So, where will that go? On the head. And yesterday we saw somebody put that UV light thingy also, no? Neuroleap. What else? What else? Come on. So he's got something, stress sensor. He's got an energy sensor. What else? Vitals, just general vitals. So kidney के लिए क्या करेंगे? Doc, you have to tell us about kidney, no? But for kidney, you need regular urine collection.
Bladder volume.
Bladder volume. Ultrasounds. Correct. What else? Mood sensor. Somebody said mood sensor. Raise your hand. Okay, mood sensor. Hey, yoga teacher. Mood sensor. Facial recognition to check happiness. Okay. What else? Anybody else?
Excuse me, sir. Sir,
Raise your hand.
we could just put a small device into the bloodstream. So,
Hey, this is
Say the hormones.
was the bloodstream. So that's okay. It's like you know the diabetes check machine thingy or that thing, the prick, na?
like, even the molecules can be like, change in the molecules can also be detected. So, other diseases.
Okay, now we're going to go to the real guys. Now you tell us what else they need.
I think
What else can we put on him?
yeah, I think we won't do that in clinical practice. I won't do that.
Before that,
Yeah.
what would you put on him?
Oh, what to put on him? Of course, there's lots of technologies which are out there.
Tell.
So you can put, as he said, something in the bloodstream to measure
bloodstream,
sensor.
okay.
You can put something under the sole to check the sensation levels.
Wow.
You can put something in the hair to look at what hormone levels are there when he's going to grow white hair or other stress levels.
Right here, yeah. What else?
Put something on the eye to look at how the retina of the eye is developing.
Correct.
Look at the teeth, how often he's eating, what he's eating. Put a sensor inside the mouth. You can put lots of sensor. Technology is out there for us to put.
And by the way, there are others. Like there's this. Apparently, you can put something on your hip so to detect fall detection.
Yeah, so those are to capture your fall right before it happens.
He's
But
the
in the-
Mr. Fall Detection, so we'll come to him. Okay, so now you guys get the picture, right? There is all this, everybody, all these scientists want to put stuff on us. Now, here's the real doctor who will tell us what patients really need.
I think when we talk of all these technologies are fantastic and they are very good and would be useful, but not for all the patients, not for all. So what we would do usually in clinical practice is use our age-old way of detecting who needs it. So now the important task of a clinician would be to decide who would need this type of intervention. I don't think I'm going to put hip protectors or hip detectors for a young boy or young person. So I think the first task at the clinical level is to identify who needs them. These devices are
But
very
doctor,
good.
everybody needs it. That's what the scientists are saying.
No. I don't think, because if you would need 1.4 billion devices to put for everybody,
But AI can solve that.
no, I think that won't serve the purpose, because when you talk of when you are treating a person, and as was mentioned earlier also, I'll just like to mention that the empathy and care issue and identifying the need will still remain without the technology. That is what is my feeling. But of course, they will help us. They are going to be our helpers.
No, thank you. No, in fact, this is essentially the bigger message we wanted to take is that there is a role of where technologies come in and where they don't. So let me give you some examples of, between Anurag and I, we are a part of an HTech founders group. We have about 100 founders who are working on HTech. Quite a few of you are in the room who are solving today's problems, right? The income statement problems. So let me tell you the kind of things some of the founders are solving. Cheaper and effective hearing aids, pill reminders, caring for caregivers, preventing online fraud, loneliness conversations and tech, getting elders to exercise, ergonomic furniture. By the way, we just coined a new terminology from 2 panels ago called bathroom tech. By the way, this is the first time you've heard it, and now it's going to become a new thing. Bathroom tech. Make the bathroom more friendly for elders. So that's the basic stuff on tech, right? Now, with that, I'm going to now hand it over to you to show. So give us the context, and then we'll put up your slides.
Sure. So I think we have been looking, we all know that there is lots of technologies which are possible. But what is actually solving the need and when will it be adopted is a question if any entrepreneur or anybody who's wanting to put out a product or a company in the market wants to have an answer to, right? And there is a method to that, a possible method. We are exploring that, and as a scientific a person of scientific mind, you could also apply those principles. You can test them, but you're not testing these things on objects in the lab, but also on people. You're asking questions, you're asking, understanding people, and then figuring out whether it works or not through some kind of a hypothesis testing model for product development. And that's possible when you think these products are for humans, and therefore your experiment includes human, right?
So you will not experiment with rats?
No, as you can experiment with.
No, I'm pulling the scientist ka leg because everybody's experimenting on rats.
Right. So we are not experimenting to know what really serves the purpose. Does it actually, is there a need, first of all? You need to identify what the need is and then look at what technology can solve for that.
So doctor, the real doctor, when you tell us the tech, Dr. Arvind, you will tell us if this works or not.
Right.
Anna?
So the technologies which are put out here are again technologies which some of the startups at IISc are working on, and you can judge for yourself whether they're sensible or not. This is something which I'm personally associated.
So Anurag could have won this also when he was standing. What is this?
This is a device for actually improving the pelvic floor strength by giving electrical stimulation. You can actually tone the muscles, and it's addressing a problem of urinary incontinence, which over age.
Where is our nephrology doctor? Will this work? Will work.
Right. So that's a technology, again, from a technological point is one point of view, right? But what is it addressing? It's also addressing a need of a person who's having incontinence to be able to get the treatment on the go, right? They are kind of bound to, they change their social structures, they leave jobs or their activities.
Will this work, doctor?
Yeah, I definitely. This addresses a very important issue. Urinary incontinence is underreported by the patients, and in the society, people do not talk about it, and they suffer silently with this. And such product will definitely of great help to all the persons, particularly elderly patients.
3 out of 3. Okay, next product.
Again, okay, maybe we can go to the next one.
ये क्या है?
Another company which is working in IISc ecosystem at the CPD Med incubator, they're developing a technology for giving eye drops easily, in the sense that the device itself detects when the eye is open and delivers the ophthalmic medication.
How many of you have tried putting eye drops and have missed your eye? Actually, this is awesome, no?
So there are customers possibly for this, but this is again a tech which can be developed because they know the need exists.
ये चलेगा, doctor?
I think the idea is very good, but I have some reservations about the use by the older people when it comes to putting eye drops or so.
Their hands will shake anyways.
Yeah, so that's why there are reservations about its common use.
The question is whether they will use it themselves or a caregiver will use it.
Ooh, now that's a good one. See, that's a caregiver.
I think in case if there is a caregiver, they can try and use them.
Right.
But what I find in common day-to-day practice, the caregiver would try to miss one drop and put it rather than use.
They'll put more drops.
Right.
At least one will go inside.
One is-
Okay. So now the next slide.
Okay, so this is again another startup from IISc, work done in mechanical engineering department initially and also in department of design manufacturing, working on a chair which supports in sitting down and also getting up.
Without power.
Without power, yeah, of course. The chair is actually storing energy when you sit down into a spring which is embedded inside, and that is released only when you show intention to stand up, right? It does not throw you out. You're not pressing down on the chair all the time. Again, it's something for you to experience. Prototype is available in the CPD Med.
We have the founder in the room.
Not today, I think.
Yes, there we go.
Right, either.
So raise your hand. And how old are you? 26.
26.
So there you go. I think this is, by the way, this is the cool stuff that's going on in the world. And there's a lot of other cool stuff, right? So these are the three.
I think this is going to be a fantastic.
Amazing,
addition.
no?
Yeah, everybody would need it. Everybody would.
So now we're going to show you some. So this young gentleman entrepreneur recently, how many of you have ever been to something called CES? How many of, okay, you've been, very good. How many of you have heard of CES? Okay, so here is someone who just went to CES in Las Vegas. Please tell us what it is. Tell us what you saw, and then we will then make fun of you.
Absolutely. So the CES is the Consumer Electronics Show, which happens every year in Las Vegas, and this is the largest, kind of platform to showcase technology. All the largest players are there, smallest players, new startups, old startups. Companies like Sony and all of them are there, right? The idea is that this is where they come and talk about the future of technology or what they're working on right now, which is going to come in either now or sooner. And this time around, there was actually a breakout for age tech. And it was wonderful because there was an entire flow that was set up for, companies that are building in age tech, have built in age tech, planning to build in age tech, right? And there are a few interesting products that I saw that I thought it would be interesting to bring to this.
You know what you should do is tell us about the products and we'll ask them if it's going to work in India or not.
Yeah. Done deal. Can I also give my opinion about whether it will work or not?
First let them say it, then you give your
Okay,
opinion.
done deal.
Otherwise you'll bias them.
Sounds good. So, I think in the US and in other Western countries, as well as countries like Japan, one of the biggest challenges is loneliness and not having enough caregivers and attendants to be part of the kind of solution for seniors. And so there was an entire wave of companies that are now built built based on robotics as well as AI, right? So what you see on the screen here is two different kinds of variants of this on my right over here. So one are these kinds of little kid-like robots that remind you to have water on time, remind you to have your pills on time. They interact with you like a child would. The voices are also curated in such a way, and it's almost like you'd consider them almost like a toy, but the conversations are very in depth. Right, and that's what we saw. We were interacting with them, and it was.
So now we're going to ask the real doctors, both of them.
Yeah.
First, the PhD doctor, will it work?
Depends.
ये देखो ये thinker
No, I think there is an angle to such technology. Whether people will accept an inanimate object which they know is not real as a companion is a open question. I don't think there are enough evidence that it will work.
Doctor?
I think it would work. That's what is my feeling because older people, when they are there at home, while being with the family, most of their time is spent alone, and they will adjust to this particular thing. That okay, if somebody's there to talk to them or so.
Now your real answer, your answer?
Yeah, so we saw a lot of seniors actually going and interacting and being wowed by this technology and feeling like this would be a valuable addition to them because the big main thing was it learns about your habits and who you are over time and it curates the conversations accordingly. So that was
It's
quite
the
fascinating.
machine learning piece of...
Machine learning, yeah.
Okay.
And the second one, and this was quite fascinating to
Second
myself.
one is which one? That one or this one?
The pet that's below. As a proud parent to 3 cats myself, I was remarkably shocked by how responsive this AI enabled cat companion was. And it's almost like it falls over to receive pets. It kind of moves around you, rubs, itself against you. Common behaviors that are very representative of a cat. And the technology that they've built is actually to read your mood and the reactions to be curated as a result.
Now we're going to... So, will it work?
I think the real world test is yet to be done on this.
So that means, doctor?
It would be worth trying these devices. Worth trying these devices.
Especially for people without with allergies as well as unable to take care of the bathroom needs of
What do you think? Will it work?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, now the last one on your slide.
The last one, this is technology that made a lot of noise at CES and otherwise. Is a mirror that when you stand in front of it, it's able to detect your vitals, your mood, your blood pressure, as well as your SpO2 levels. And so, yeah, let's see what we think about that.
I think the technology for that at least is coming up. And your technology also
So you won't have to wear anything. It'll see you as opposed to...
remotely being able to. I've seen tech perform reasonably well for such kind of things, and now it's in a form factor where people can use it. And actually, in our department also, we did some prototypes of something similar. Not vitals monitoring, but guidance on yoga and other things using recognition of faces and that technology.
Doctor?
Yeah, I think it's going to be because it's totally non-invasive and somebody has to just stand there. And people would be excited to know about all this. So such devices would be definitely be useful. They would be, I think, accepted by people also.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I'm fairly biased about this, but contactless, non-invasive, privacy protecting technology, I think, is the future, and that we are constantly seeing a move towards that.
Thank you. We have 9 minutes left. We want to actually open it up to questions. Because, by the way, there's a lot of wisdom in the room. We've not covered everything. There's like so much tech stuff going on. Some of the things that have been discussed in our group, we were discussing, chair lifts to take people up. Again, these things exist. So that, if you're in a multi-story building, how do you get people to walk up? What else were we discussing today? There's like a hip airbag. Before you fall and hit the ground, it inflates so that you don't, this whole fall detection comes after. This actually prevents the hip from dislocating. What other technologies have you seen?
I think as a practitioner for the older people, I expect technology to help us a lot beyond this also. Because assistive technologies have to come up to help people have functional independence with the use of those technologies. So, as you mentioned about some device to lift people or so, that makes caregiving easier for them. Then the AI-based devices could manage caregivers' stress and burden also, could make dementia caregiving slightly easier or so. So we are looking forward to the technology for a great help, and that's what we are trying to look at them.
Just one thing, just one thing I just wanted to add on top of this. The reason that this panel for me was very exciting is because I think all of us at some point have built technology that has kept the senior in the center of it, right? oftentimes what we're seeing is we're expecting seniors to either adapt to technology or expecting technology to adapt to the senior. But instead of like focusing on what we are building with the senior in the process of building it, right? And I think all of us over here have worked really hard to ensure that is the case. And I would encourage more entrepreneurs and founders to make the senior the center of the design process of the solution in and of itself.
Yeah, I think, where's Dr. Suramya? I know the questions. You were showing me a report of yours, Hannah? Can you just raise the report? It's a deep holistics. The in-body body composition. So, and this, she's a PhD. She was showing me the report. I couldn't understand anything. And I'm not saying it doesn't have vital information, but it doesn't have the senior in the center. It has this young 32-year-old in the center, right? No, which is, no, it's a good point. So thank you. But we'll open it up to questions. Pavitra? But you have to take a, she speaks very softly, so she needs a.
So my first foray into senior care was when I started doing products for seniors, and I quickly realized that though there are a lot of products out there, the problem is the pricing in India. There are a lot of people who cannot just afford it. Forget the under-reserved people, but I'm talking about middle class and lower middle class people who just cannot afford the technology. So all of you are looking at building technology or providing services. How does the pricing part of it play into the book?
Who wants your.
Yeah, can I take that first? Great question, Pavitra. And I think this is one of the biggest challenges that I think bringing on board new technology we are always going to face. Our approach as Kubo Care to this is that, and our opinion is that when you're working on the bleeding edge of technology, when you're working on bringing in technology that hasn't existed or is just new to this, whatever geography we're building in, that there is going to be an adoption curve, right? Over time, the technology is going to get cheaper, either through new manufacturing methods or by way of scale, right? Our journey, the way we see it, is that initially, yes, this is going to be a one-person product. We are selling directly to senior living communities at the moment. We're starting B2B, and then we want to slowly expand it. Over time, we see the cost dropping at volumes and as the technology itself reduces. Like a simple example is how mobile phones at one point were just accessible by the one person, and today it's in almost all of our pockets, right? And the same thing with seniors, even in rural areas. So we see that curve happening, and we're excited to make it far more accessible to everybody down the line.
I think I will take a different view on it, because the product placement into the market, where do you target it, is of course a choice of the entrepreneur or the company which goes behind it. And when you, in as diverse a market as India is, where there is so much of economic variation which is existing, so some very small fraction of people having lots of money to a lot of people having very little money, if you can place a product in the market which is able to cater for a lower economic strata, there your product can sell in larger numbers, and therefore the scale can come in. So you have to design a product to be in that market, and you upfront take the price point in mind, that yes, this is the price point which people can afford. There will always be a strata which cannot afford and will have to depend on some other ecosystem to provide that care. But if you bring down keep price as a constraint from the beginning itself, that I don't want to look at technology which 90% of the people cannot afford, then your product design process itself can actually incorporate that. And many of the technologies can actually, or rather many of the problems can be solved with a appropriately designed solution which need not be expensive, right?
Thank you.
I
Dr.
think
Arvind?
you have voiced what we have been advocating for, because we have always been advocating for cost cutting for the care products as such. And I think there is a role of government also to help us on this account.
Thank you. We'll take, we actually have time for two more questions.
Namaste, panel. First of all, I'd like to take a moment to appreciate Neeraj's awesome moderating skills. Thanks for keeping it
My
lighthearted.
pleasure. I will take money outside.
Last
I have
session.
a QR code outside.
Okay. First of all, incredible work that all of you are doing. I've been here all 3 days for almost all of the sessions, and there's so much under the microscope stuff, and it was a lot of science, and of course we're in a scientific institution. But coming to very real aspects, because I'm a movement coach and a yoga educator, and the common issues that I see because I specialize in geriatric yoga is that subah utke, even in 30s and 40s, we feel we have a stiff neck. And imagine the elders, shouldn't we be checking like mobility parameters in them, like in that mirror? Like, are my joints working fine? Like, am I able to flex, extend? What is the range of motion, neuromotor skills? I didn't really hear any talk about it at all. And the second aspect is of the mind. Like, even something simple, some simple questionnaires about that gives me an insight into the senior, like, maza aa raha hai ki nahi? Like, do I have purpose in life? Do I even want to live long? Forget longevity. So I just want to know, is there anything happening in these two spaces?
Thank you for raising this particular point. And this is relevant for the practitioners. That's what I would say, because they would be addressing this most of the time. We have one way of evaluation of older people that is integrated care of the older people, ICOPE. WHO has propagated this particular system in which there is a very simple screening tool which could be delivered by any member in the family in 8 to 10 minutes. All these issues, may it be cognition, may it be psychological status, mobility, nutrition, and they could be detected. So I think, as I was mentioning, that who should have these intervention, this could be done by simple screening like this program that can help us in identifying who would need these technologies.
Thank you.
Just one on the mobility bit.
We are running out of time,
Sure.
but you have 10 seconds.
Yeah, just 10 seconds. We actually do the mobility tracking and gait analytics through our technology. So we can take this offline.
You also get 5 seconds.
Okay, 5 seconds. I'm gonna say that if you identify a need, the technology for that can be built. So I think you should just vocalize what the needs of the community you're working with are. And I'm sure people in the audience here and institute like ours will have people who can actually build the technology to solve that, right? So
Thank you. Perfect. So I was asked by Professor. So actually, all the people who helped us with this, can you please just raise your hands? Professor, please raise your hand. So there are lots of people behind the scene who actually tell us what to do. I just want to acknowledge that, and they ask us like every 15 minutes. So the takeaways as we end. Number one, whatever technologies we build, we have to keep the users at the center. If you're doing longevity, go get the young people. Ask them, whether they want to be like their parents or not. And if they don't, then do something for them. Or talk to the people who are older, right? Keep them in the center. Second, execute on the small stuff first. We all think about all these big fancy things that we can do and measure and calculate and use AI for. Solve the small stuff first. Right? Solve for the 80% and not for the 2% that will impact the 1%. The one thing that we didn't talk about is we have to think integration. Right? There's every single thing here is standalone. And I know we didn't talk about it, but it is a very important part that we will discuss in the next time you invite us, is how do we integrate all these technologies into one thing. Users do not want 10 different, 20 different apps to tell them 30 different things. Thank you, everybody, to our wonderful panel.